Well, let's return to the money. So 1988, very important year in the life of Jeffrey Epstein. He leaves or basically reforms IAG. At this point, it's been 7 years. He's very important to many of the world's most influential arms dealers and other people. Almost certainly at this point is embroiled in some of these deals. This point is a very sketchy point because now he creates the J. Epstein Company. The J. Epstein Company, self-described, accepts only clients with $1 billion. This is a year where there are only 140 billionaires in all of his existence in 1988. There's not very many people who are billionaires. And to have $1 billion in cash, liquid, to be able to invest is effectively unheard of. So who are the people that this is ostensibly for? He pitched specifically as, quote, an economic advisor to the super rich. No other services have ever been advertised, and this is the source eventually of all of his wealth. And so it's somewhere around this time in the 1980s and the J. Epstein Company that he signs a client named Leslie Wexner. Wexner, one of the most important figures again in this story, really the source of much of his money and his power to the way that it eventually becomes. Leslie Wexner is one of the richest men in America, one of the richest men in Ohio. Leslie Wexner is a committed Zionist. He's donated and worked with the Israeli government, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Leslie Wexner eventually, in this time period, effectively signs over his entire portfolio and eventually leads to power of attorney being signed over to Jeffrey Epstein. You guys had a great exchange where you were like, hey, we have a decade of friendship here, and I would not sign power of attorney over to any of you. There's only one person I'm signing power of attorney to, my wife. There's nobody else who's ever going to get it.
We're supposed to do that?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm saying if we wanted to. You know what I'm saying? That's the only person who conceivably is ever going to get that.
What about business managers? Do they have power of attorney?
No, or they have a limited power of attorney. And that's very different than his entire control of his estate. So somewhere in this time, in the 88 to 91 period, in just 3 years, he is able to convince this man, Leslie Wexner, multi-billionaire, the founder of Victoria's Secret, to basically sign over all of his power of attorney and control of his assets. Even more importantly, over the next 5 years, he effectively begins transferring many assets from the Wexner fortune to his own personal portfolio. Wow. Multiple properties in the state of Ohio, which are actually referenced in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial for the sex trafficking purposes. Those are Wexner properties. And then the infamous, massive townhouse in Manhattan, at that time, the largest private residence, basically valued at some $70 million. I mean, again, who in this world is transferring $70 million townhouse, largest private residence at the time, the city of New York, over to this man,
so let's
Jeffrey
make
Epstein.
Steel Man.
For what purpose? Go ahead.
Is there a purpose? For example, is he trying to avoid taxes?
Yes.
Is there give me the argument outside of corruption?